America actually chose its president with one shot. Long before the presidential election, in principle, it is already clear, most likely, who will become it. Assassination attempt on Donald Trump. It is probably not worth talking about some kind of conspiracy here, although the versions will now expand simply at cosmic speed. Looking for who benefits from it is also quite simple. Given that the shooter was eliminated, it will be very difficult to understand who actually ordered it. Although, I think the Secret Service, the FBI, and all the other American services are working on this. Our job is to figure out who could need it more. And let's see. First of all, if you are going to shoot one of the presidential candidates, if you don't like Republicans, you don't like Trump, then it is unlikely that knowing that the president, and Trump remains president, the 45th president of the United States, this will never be removed from him. That is, the one who is elected president in the United States, he remains president always, at least he retains the title. That is, it is unlikely that you do not know that the president is very well guarded, especially if he is a candidate for the future president, and also leads the race. Moreover, it remains strange that the shooter, being in full view of everyone a few dozen yards from Trump, managed to make several shots. How did it happen? Why did this happen? But, they say, the Secret Service managed to somehow interfere with him. How to prevent if one person died, another was seriously injured and Trump had an ear wounded? That is, we can say that Trump will most likely be a 1.5-year president. Most likely, because it is unlikely that any other event will be able to interrupt it. It is unlikely that anyone will be able to really do something so significant as to outbid the electoral advantages of the attempt on Trump's life. And here the question of whether Biden and the Democrats need it, the elimination of Trump, is automatically resolved. But judging by the preparation that this young man has undergone, about whom we still know little, but I think we will soon know much more, then the planning of this whole event is not very good. Unless Biden himself told him what to do, then everything becomes clear. Bobby Kennedy, the son of Robert Kennedy Jr., says the Secret Service is to blame for all of this. He says, an unprotected roof 150 yards away, numerous witnesses who shouted at the Secret Service and filmed the gunner, filmed for minutes everything that happened when the guy crawled up with a rifle, aimed and fired. This is simply incomprehensible. Is there any idea in this? Is there any malicious intent in the fact that the Secret Service did not react on purpose? It is also quite unlikely. After all, this is the United States. For example, a Ukrainian trace has already been found in Russia. They are already signing on the shells for Trump's ear. For Trump, Ukraine will answer for Trump and so on. And they write it on the shells and send, apparently, in the direction of the defense forces of Ukraine. In principle, if you blame Ukraine for every event that happens in the world, then it turns out to be a very powerful state, the most powerful in the world. Yes, indeed, Trump went to the hospital. Trump's upper right ear, as he writes himself, was injured. Yes, indeed, it was scary and really, it was unexpected, and this is a high-profile event. But, firstly, this is too far from the elections. That is, it cannot be said that Trump is fully interested in this. Second, too close to the first round of the debate, in which Trump actually won. That is, it is probably not worth saying that Trump specifically planned to raise his rating, as well as to say, in principle, it is not worth talking about it until it is proven by the relevant services. But if we are considering versions of who may need it, then Trump probably does not really need it. Biden probably doesn't really need it either, because this is the first thought that comes to mind, that the Democrats ordered Trump, which, in general, is unlikely. Again, with an eye to how exactly it was produced. In any case, Trump's ear is winning the election, most likely, already, because even if Biden leaves, drops out of the race, then the electorate for which political scientists are fighting, the electorate that has not yet decided for whom he will vote, although there are probably not as many of them in the United States as in other countries. They are likely to vote for Trump now because of this very event. The only thing that can serve as a negative in this story, that is, the only thing that can prevent Trump's approval rating from holding out for so long before the presidential election at a high level, is only time, if someone forgets this event. But it is unlikely that Trump will let anyone forget this event. We know that President Biden called Donald Trump immediately after he apparently learned about the assassination attempt. And it is not clear what they were talking about, but I think it can be assumed. We know that Biden left his residence in Delaware to return to Washington. And we know that he changed his plans after the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. It is being investigated as an attempt on the life of a presidential candidate, an attempted murder. Biden planned to stay for the weekend and rest in Delaware, but now he has to go to work, imagine. Telegram channels are already publishing the scheme of the shooter's location, how it all happened, and, in general, making their assumptions. This is all a thankless job, because it is probably too early to talk about anything before the reports of the American intelligence services, before the reports of those who are conducting this investigation. Although it is unlikely that we will find out the truth. But then Maria Zakharova appears and says that the United States really stimulates the incitement of hatred towards political opponents. She says that 2 months ago she drew attention to the fact that the United States is literally stimulating hatred towards political opponents. In general, this is definitely not Russia, so said Maria Zakharova. And, by the way, at a time when Ukrainian Telegram channels, American news feeds wrote simply about what happened, and that the motives of the shooter are unknown. In the Russians, they have already written that Thomas Matthew Crooks, who, in fact, did all this, was a left-wing anti-fascist, and that's why he did all this. That is, for some reason, Russians initially had more information about this person than everyone else. By the way, on hate speech, just the other day, Trump's Facebook and Instagram accounts were unblocked, and this was done by Matt's company precisely for the reasons that the American electorate would hear both sides before the elections, that is, both Biden and Trump in equal shares, in equal representation on social networks. But critics of this idea said that we are likely to see a wave of hatred, a wave of incitement to some kind of rallies and provocations, and the like, and compare it with the events before the seizure of the Capitol. That is, now Russia is doing what it usually does, turning the facts upside down and saying that this is not them, but this is them. That is, it was not Trump who inflamed and tried to provoke the internet space before the seizure of the Capitol, but they are doing the same thing now, but against Trump. We will follow this story. A lot of incomprehensible things and a lot, I think, we will not know yet, at least in the near future, but the fact that this will play on Trump's electorate or play on the activation of this electorate, that is, will make it so that they will come to the polls. Yes, Trump's voter will now come to the polls because of the fact that their candidate, his candidate was attempted to kill, that is, the country is in danger. And this is not exactly a good move, but most likely it is a complete victory. We will monitor the situation together. Subscribe to my channel, to the channel of Channel 24. Put likes, leave comments, leave your versions. This is very interesting and important. Do not forget to subscribe, like, leave your versions. This is very important. Well, take care of yourselves.
Будем следить за ситуацией вместе. Подписывайтесь на мой канал, на канал 24-го, ставьте лайки, оставляйте комментарии, оставляйте свои версии. Это правда очень интересно и важно. Не забывайте подписываться, не забывайте ставить лайки и оставлять свои версии. Это правда очень важно. Ну и берегите себя.